Okay, so this week we're just going to continue on this journey of how to pivot on Pinterest. If you've been blogging for a while, you've probably looked at your Pinterest and been like, what the heck is going on? And I talked about this in last week's video, where I talked about who the audience is, mainly on Pinterest, and how you need to cater to them. Okay, how Pinterest trends is just what you need to be looking at for keywords along with the search bar. And then how Pinterest is putting digital products above regular pins. Okay, so today we're going to dive just a little bit into Pinterest trends. Okay, Pinterest made it really, really clear that they have spent a ton of money on that algorithm before, like, it would give you a little bit of here's the keywords, but they made it really clear in that Pinterest Presents that they spent a ton of money, that it is current, up to date, moving along. Like, you can really get in there and really get some really good ideas of what um, keywords are and when to pin them. Okay, so I'm going to dive a little bit into this. I dive way more in the training that I have in my mastermind, where you can figure out all about keywords and what keywords you need to be using. Okay, and then you can ask me for feedback on that. Okay, but let's head in here and let's take a look. We're just going to pretend like we're just making some pins. Okay, I do this for clients and I have 5 websites, so I make a lot of pins. Okay, so I'm gonna do a few. I'm actually gonna do 2 or 3. Okay, we'll see how many we can get done. So let's say we're gonna do something like taco recipe. Okay, and this was just a pin I got off Canva. Okay, so let's head over to Pinterest. Okay, you're gonna go in here and go to Pinterest trends. And this is where you want to start. Okay. This is where you want to start and be like, okay, is there a keyword that's a low competition keyword? Okay. So let's look at beef tacos. So you can see here, there's a ton. You've got shredded beef, you've got beef taco recipes, you've got beef tacos. And so here's the cool thing about Pinterest trends. Okay, it's going to show you peaks and it's going to show you lows. Okay, for an entire year, which is awesome. Okay, some of it's predicted, so this over here is predicted, but I can see here, man, like it really peaks like in May, but it stays really pretty, like a couple days after Christmas, it dips a little bit, but not much. Okay, you can also see other keywords. You can see who's searching it. So we talked about, all of these Gen Z gals, guys, gals, mostly gals. It gives us that data, right? It also tells us the popular pins. Okay. Now I'm looking for low competition keywords, but I also know that I want to use beef tacos. Okay. Or I could come down here and do this one would be fun. Street taco recipe. And I don't like to layer them. Okay, so another good one. I'm going to use that one. So let's head back over to, so that's going to become my keyword, right? Because I know that it stays there all the time, does really well, and I don't typically. And then we talked about it's mainly Gen Zs, right? So I'm going to do a call to action here that is going to make them want to click. Okay. And then my photo matters. Okay. So maybe you just have a street taco recipe that is delicious. Your photos are amazing. You could put it here. Okay. I don't have one because I'm not a food blogger. So I'm just going to generate one right quick. Let's say we're just going to use this. Okay. Then I've got to use, I got to figure out my pin description. Okay. And so I'm going to take my keyword. If you guys don't know, I've created an app that literally lets you go in and type in your pin description. So here's your keyword. And say easy dinner. You can put, I typically only do 2 keywords, and then you're just going to hit generate. And lickety split, there's your pin description. You're going to hit copy text, and then you schedule it. It's ready. Okay, this has sped up my, I don't know how many times I stare at blank, at blank pins. Descriptions. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's do one more. Okay, let's say I have a lot of travel bloggers and I service a lot of travel bloggers. So let's look at travel. Um, okay, so if you had a packing list, that would be a great keyword. If you've got just beach vacation. Now, let's say you're not finding anything. Okay, if I come in here and say cat cross stitch, okay, it doesn't pull up. I have some other ones that I could add to it, but sometimes we have to go in and use the search bar. But I'll get a look at like cross stitch to see who's searching for it, what their ages are, etc. Okay. So you can use this. Now it's always going to start out as your pin. I just hit return. And you guys, I dig really deep into this in the training in my mastermind. Okay. So I've got cat cross stitch pattern. So let's use that. And actually, a few of those are me at the top already. I like doing it all uppercase. Okay, then I can just put my photo there. Okay, but you want to get really good at using Pinterest trends. One, to see who's searching. Okay, what is that little keyword that you really want to put in there? And on Pinterest, we're always a few months ahead. We're always creating content that needs to be like it's November 3rd, 4th, November 4th right now as I'm recording this. I'm not going to be creating pins for Thanksgiving. That holiday's too close. Okay. I'm not going to be talking about summer vacations because that's too far away. Okay. So you've got to be able to look at that and you can tell on Pinterest trends where where it really peaks. Okay. Some things are, especially food, like you kind of see it even across the board. But I would say probably things like soups, stews, things like that, they may not. Okay. So this is a great place to do. So I'm going to take my keyword. I'm going to go back over here to my generator. I'm going to get rid of that keyword. I'm just going to use just one. Okay. And then I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. Super easy. If you haven't tried pin description, I put a link in the description. Give it a try. I would love some feedback on it. So, but here's your task. Okay, I want you to go in and I want you to find a couple of pins you need to create. Okay, I want you to look at Pinterest trends. I want you to look at the search bar, but I really want you to focus on Pinterest trends. And I want you to figure out who should you be creating that pin for. Okay, there's a total difference. Let's take travel. Okay, there's a total difference of going to Paris and you're 20 something versus you're doing it for a retirement trip, right? Like there's something totally different about that. Your photos should be different. Okay. Your titles are going to be different. You've got to start looking at this. We talked about this in the last video, like this Gen Z, okay, um, they are buyers. Pinterest has become their search engine. So, like, if you have a digital product, then become a verified merchant on Pinterest and then tag those products. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. My cross stitch site makes way more money from Pinterest products than it does from ad revenue, like 3 times the amount daily. Okay, so then like what do you focus on? Yeah, you could put ads there, but if it isn't really bringing in a whole lot, and you could do digital products or you could do something else, you could create an app that is something that you could sell, you could be making way more money on your blog. It's time to pivot. It really is time to pivot. And if you need to brainstorm some ideas, that's where the mastermind is amazing. I've created apps, I've created digital products, I've created a magazine for one of my sites that's a paid product. And so there's so many possibilities. And my brain brainstorms really, really well. So anyway, I hope that you'll try that. But go try Pinterest trends. Okay, look at the data just overall for your site, and then you need to come up with a game plan. Okay, it may be time to pivot a little bit. So I'd love to hear like how you're going to pivot or what surprised you when you went to Pinterest trends. Okay, can't wait to hear it. Next week, we're going to just keep building on this. Okay, like, we're just going to keep building. So make sure that you come back. And if you're on my email, you'll get notified of that, along with some other tips. So anyway, I cannot wait to see you next week.